Hi, everyone. T-Sibs with you tonight on a Saturday night after week one with a little bit of a voice left. But thankfully, I've got Pliskin and Reap joining me tonight. Cosmo, hopefully a little bit later on, will be on the show, and we'll talk to him as well. And I'm praying that Plis and Reap are ready to do a lot of talking tonight, because I don't have much of a chance of lasting the entire hour, but we'll see what happens. We're going to talk everything week one, all your matchups and everything else going on in the world of SP. Again, T-Sibs with you along with Reap and Pliskin. And gentlemen, thanks for being here tonight. I am thanking my gods that we've got a couple of guys tonight who can and will talk, and plenty to talk about in week one. I'll start off. I'll kick off the discussion with this. We've played 9 games. We've played 9 different teams out of the other 15 that exists, and a couple of games where we played really well, a couple where we really struggled. But I felt like the competition in general, from team to team, was really not that different. The games that we won were close. The games that we lost, for the most part, were close. All good games. We struggle with our own issues, but for the most part, my takeaway, Reap, is that from teams 1 to 16, I didn't see an awful lot of change. Quite honestly, I thought it was pretty even up and down from all the teams that we did play so far.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's been pretty even. There hasn't been like a very dominating team like let's say like a Colorado from a few seasons ago, where they just would hammer the crap out of you. Right. It's been really close games for a lot of us, I think.
And I don't know how much you played this week, Bliss, but again, I mean, obviously you've seen enough of this. You've seen enough of week ones in this league and the competition that you saw so far. What was your take on what you've seen with the teams that you've played against?
I feel pretty much the same way. The games, the scores don't really tell the story. A lot of them were tight, and then a bad penalty or bad bounce just turns it completely upside down. But for the most part, every game felt like you could lose it at any point. With the side of maybe 1 or 2 teams, and maybe you guys haven't played them yet, but there's at least one team that's struggling really hard right now to find their groove. But for the most part, everybody else seems to be on the same level. I don't know. We can talk about why that is. I mean, it could be a spread out of talent or just an abundance of talent now. It could be a lot of things, really. It could be the salary system that forces players to be what they're worth, and it kind of keeps everybody honest, keeps their teams honest. Yeah. Keeps everybody with a certain balance of I guess, value for their dollar type of deal.
You mentioned, and we could talk a little bit about the teams now if you want to. You mentioned a team that's struggling, and I'm assuming you're talking about Dallas, who right now at 1-8, 17 goals for, 44 goals against, last place in both of those categories. Penalty killed 71.4, not bad. Power play at 21. So, I mean, you're not seeing awful numbers in that respect, but certainly goes hand in hand. If you can't put pucks in the net, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I spoke with their GM the other day, and because he's struggling, we can tell he's struggling. The problem with their team is they got a 14-man roster. You're not going to be able to get any chemistry or find any real flow if you have to change your team every game.
I definitely think that that can be a problem, and we've seen that in other leagues, right? If you played in some other leagues that have even more players than that on a roster, obviously if you can play the same line all the time and you can make that happen, it works out. The dynamic in this league is a little bit difficult, like you said, because you've got to have, you want to try and have the same guys play with each other all the time on a line and get that chemistry. And if availability is a problem, then you're going to struggle with that. And I know, Pliskin, you said you don't necessarily believe in the summer season some of the summer season discussion that goes on, but I got to believe that you still wind up having to deal with an issue. I know it's only June, but our own Dirty Dietrich is away for the weekend. We have guys taking time off right now, even this early, as we're approaching the beginning of summer. I kind of feel like it's still maybe a bit of an issue.
I would be completely ignorant to say there's no issue.
Okay.
My stance is not that there is no issue, but the issue is not as extreme as people might feel it is. There's still going to be one or two guys per team that are going to be, here and there throughout the summer, but I don't think it's something so big that it's going to affect the majority of the league.
No.
What's your take on that, Reed? Do you feel like, well, obviously, for your team, if you really have that issue right now, are your guys all available?
Well, I had a little bit of issues on Friday just due to things coming up, out of nowhere. But it's the summertime. You're going into as a GM going into the draft, you had to realize that it's the summertime and you got to draft accordingly. Players and what players' availability and if they're going to be playing. That's what we looked at when we were doing our draft. And okay, well, it's the summertime. People are going to want time off. People are going to want to go to cottages. This, and that. So we took that into accountability just to make sure. But I mean, you still struggle. You can't really, prepare yourself. You're still going to have to find an ECU here and there, or something might come up for somebody else, or you know what I mean. But for the most part, it's been pretty good. But we have run into some issues in our first week, but we battled it. We were all right.
We played Dallas this week, and I believe we came up. And when I say we, I mean Detroit. I believe we came away with a victory in that one. But again, just playing them, they played well. I believe Ush was in net for them in that game. He's played 2 games. He's had 49 shots against. So that tells you right there, way too many opportunities. I think in that game that we played him, I believe he had like 25 or 27 shots on goal that game. So you're going to struggle winning games when you're getting that much against you. That's more than double of what you should see. And I think that might be part of their problem with this team, at least a couple of games that Ush was in net.
Yeah, the game we played them, we kind of took it to them, but it was, I don't like saying it was anybody in particular, but it felt like there was a lot of easy breakaways. There's a lot of transition issues for Dallas. They weren't able to keep up with the turnovers and prepare, they weren't anticipating the turnovers, so there's too many odd mans and breakaways. So I think that's the biggest problem for the shots on goal.
And the other, I'm just looking at the other goaltender as well. I see Luke the Duke was in that for 3 games, 2-1. I don't know if that shot count is correct, but
not even close.
Yeah,
not even close. Yeah,
we have to take a look at this. But yeah, again, I know Ush had a lot against us, and again, if you're building chemistry early in the season, and if that chemistry is being developed on defense, you're going to have a huge problem, at least early on, because that's where, to me, if you can get defenders that know each other to play together with each other from the beginning, you have a better shot of winning those early games because they understand where they need to be. Forwards, they can take time making chemistry, still wind up getting a couple of good bounces and getting good opportunities without it. But defensemen and then communication with the goaltender, to me, reap that a team that does that well early on, it's a team that's going to be successful right from the beginning.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, chemistry, I've always said chemistry is key to anything. And I think, some teams have it already because they've been playing either club together or they play together all the time and they were just managed to somehow get on each other's team. Or you just build it right off. It just clicks right from the start. But some teams, it needs a little time. It's a week or 2 at least to get things going.
I think there's only been about 3 IRs this week. So at least the first week has been pretty clean for availability-wise.
You know what? I think one of the things you brought up, Pliss, as we talked about show topics for this week was the idea that maybe some guys living up to what they've registered as for positions and availability. What are you seeing, at least in week one? I mean, we look at the chat, and I certainly saw quite a few notifications about availability, about guys suddenly not being available, signing up for certain positions but not being able to play it, or to feeling like they were better in another position. What was your take on what's been going on so far in this season with player availability and accountability for what positions they're going to play?
I'm not liking it. I'm not liking what I'm seeing. The whole concept of this registration and selecting the position you want, the refused positions, all that, that's for the player. That's to protect the player, give them some options to play what they want to play. Unfortunately, they're abusing that. And if they're going to abuse it, they're going to lose it. That's the trouble. So right now, guys are, they're signing up for goalie. They're not playing a single game of goalie. They're doing it to get on a buddy's team or to scare off other GMs from grabbing them, and that shit just can't happen. We can't have that happen. So a lot of discussions amongst the GMs. We're discussing kind of an idea about holding them accountable for that. If they sign up for that, they have to play at 50% regardless of where they want to play after that.
Okay.
So if you sign up for goalie, 50% of the games you are playing goalie. There's no way around it. And hopefully that'll make them more honest. And the other part is the availability. You sign up saying you're playing 9, you better goddamn play 9. Or at least say you're available for 9. If you're coming to one team telling you can only play 3, and then the next team you're telling play 9, nah, not a chance. This is going to have to change as well.
But the hammer.
Big time.
How do you enforce something like that then?
I don't know yet, but my first thoughts is a three-strike rule. You sign up for 9, and the first week you don't do 9, that's a strike. Second week, strike 2. Third, you're out of the league.
Interesting. Well, you've heard it here, folks, and I think that's I think there's got to be some accountability, and I think you've tried to give a lot of these guys the opportunity to keep themselves accountable and to be honest with what they're going to do and what they're going to play. And I think some of that freedom has been taken advantage of, and perhaps it's time that a rule like this comes into play. Is that something you think you would implement next season?
I believe if we're going to do it, it's going to be right away for next season. Yes. Okay. Sorry. We're not going to be holding this one too long.
For next season, okay.
Yeah.
And playing right into the idea of people being accountable, is very interesting. Even the first night, having forfeits. There were, I think, to Cosmo's count, there were 7 up to this time, possibly 8. And having a forfeit or 2 even on the first night seems kind of crazy. You think guys are chomping at the bit to play, but is this something we think is going to keep on going on week in and week out, or what do you think is attributing to that in week 1 of a season?
That is a mixture of things. That the first and biggest thing is inexperience of a GM. If you've been around long enough, if you haven't heard from your guys to be prepared. For some reason, I keep seeing these same GMs calling for ECOs at 9:05.
Right.
At 9:05, you're too damn late. You're not going to get one. If you do, congratulations, count your cards or count your stars, because you are not doing it again.
No.
You need to be communicating with your team, knowing you should know by 6 p.m. who's going to be there for 9. If you don't know, start making plans.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that free agent Discord chat, do not rely on that. There's only 200 people registered for Discord. We have 1,000 people who've been through this league. The odds are not good that the people you're looking for is going to be in that Discord.
Just got to start messaging them privately.
Yes, send the PSN message. Go and don't stop at 1. Don't message one guy and be like, all right, I'm good.
Yeah, right.
Hit the entire
message
list.
Everybody.
Entire list.
That's what I had to do on Friday.
Yeah. So yeah, by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, if you haven't messaged everybody yet, you're not doing your job.
No.
Hey, King Shadow has a question in the Twitch chat. He says, "What about the 3 of 9, but play 9 of 9?" Meaning meaning they sign up for 3, but they play 9, or they say their availability is 3, I guess, but then play 9.
I don't understand.
Yeah,
He's asking if they signed up for 3, but then they played 9 anyways. Is that what he asked?
I guess he says we'll see if we can get him to clarify that, but he said, "What about
Yeah.
the 3 of 9, but play 9 of 9?" So
If they're 3 of 9, the max they can do is 5. There should be nobody playing anything over 5.
yeah,
If they
and
are, they need to be reported.
now if they signed up to the league saying they can only play 3 of 9, then the max is 5. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the whatever you register as is plus and minus 2. You won't get in shit if you sign up for 9 and make 7. You won't get in shit if you do 3 and play 5. Anything in out of that range, you'll get double war.
He's saying the guys who sign up with bare minimum availability but play max.
They can't.
They
Yeah,
can't. They
okay.
can't.
They cannot play, and if it's been going on, like you said, it has to be reported.
Oh, he's saying to scare GMs away. So I'm assuming he means when they first initially sign up. So yeah. Well, look, King, if you see that, if you see guys who signed up as avail for 3 and they're playing any more than 5 games, I would say report them, because that's obviously an issue.
Unless he's speaking about changing their availability. Because as long as you're on a free agency and not signed, you can adjust your refused position, your main position. You can change whatever you want to get picked up.
Right. I see.
But yeah, if you're on a team, that can't change.
I think the only way you can change that place rate is by dropping that person
Yeah,
into
if
the
you wanna
FA, but
change
then
somebody
anybody
on your
else can
team-
grab him.
exactly. You have to release that player, change it, and hope nobody else steals them from you.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can change it. But
All right, King.
Again.
Thanks for the question there. Appreciate it.
yeah. So if you are seeing guys on a team register for 3 and playing 9, please send it my way.
We so again the forfeits. I think some of it has to do maybe with some of the availability that they say they have, and I think part of the problem, when maybe they do it by accident, maybe they do it on purpose, but part of the problem is they say they have this availability, but they might be playing elsewhere, and I think sometimes you're going to have guys who are going to sign up whose priority they say when they sign up is SP, but may not be the case. And I think that can also be part of an issue here. Plesk, I think we got guys who are signing up, but we've seen guys actually say it in the Discord chat. No, SP is not my priority. So,
Yeah.
and that if they sign up saying one thing and then doing another. Again, you're trying to skirt the system, in my mind.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with is what teams they end up on, and that's when it becomes different. Their availability,
Yeah, their priority becomes based on
different when they're not on
which
the
league
team
is
they
best
want.
in. Yeah, but again, a lot of it is just ignorance on their part too. Some of it's just innocence. They sign up for 9 and then they put in the thing. Another league has priority. Well, if that's the case, then you can't possibly be available for 9. I don't think they put 2 and 2 together.
Hey, let me head down that a little bit further with the idea that I think we certainly have had guys, and this might get Reap started. We certainly have guys that are trying to find ways around the system, and you guys, the DC, the PA, are trying hard and doing a lot of work to combat this. So talk about, without detail, talk about what are the things that you guys are trying to do, maybe to work against what seems to be quite a few guys, maybe not a ton of guys, but a few who want to continuously try and work the system and try and find ways to get on the team they want to be on with their buddies, to play on other tags. I'm assuming I see it in the DC. I see it in the DC a little bit, but there's got to be a lot of other discussions going on that you guys have to talk about ways of trying to combat this.
My question is why? That is my
Sure,
question.
sure.
A season, a league is a system. Why are you here in a system if you're trying to break the system?
Right.
Why? What's the point?
Over a fake video game or over a fake
Not even.
award.
It could be a real. It could be a real video game. It could be real. It could be with anything. Forget about everything else. It's a system. You're here because you want to be in that system. Why are you breaking the system?
Because they think they can.
Well, because they're fucking stupid. That's why they're doing it.
Well, and that like I'm not gonna go off like I would normally, but
I'll go
it's
off
just
for you because this
yeah,
shit pisses
a
me
lot
off.
of these guys. I'm not gonna mention who in the league think they're getting away with a lot of stuff right now, but we're looking into stuff and we're just doing what we got to do to coast the waters until things are gonna get resolved.
Is it a pride thing? Is it like?
I think it's
A
more of a bragging thing. It's all you see. Like, I mean, I love the Discord chat. I love how people, shit talk each other, and it's fine because it's all about hockey. Shit talking each other to get each other going, everything else.
Right.
But I think a lot of this comes down to is the younger age group having bragging rights of look at my team spanking your team, ha ha ha. I'm the champ or I'm the GOAT, and I think, and it's just, and a lot of it is like, I don't want to say too much without going into it, but I think that's what it really comes down to. Is just being able to brag. It's just a bigger ego competition.
That's probably true for a lot of the young guys, but there's old guys still doing it too.
Well, and I know, and there's old guys that have been caught for it. I think they just get to the point where it's like they're tired of drafting the right way. Like, I mean, I'm not going to mention any past GMs, but past GMs, they did the right thing by drafting the right way, everything else. But then I guess they got fed up with losing, so they decided, well, these guys are getting away with it, let's try me, and then they're the ones that get caught. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem is that these other GMs who and I'll be honest, like it's frustrating for me. I know it's frustrating for guys like I've talked with Uber, I've talked to Cookie, I've talked to you, I've talked to a lot of GMs about it. It's frustrating for us as GMs when we're doing everything by the rules. We're drafting players the right way. We're not trying to sneak people in. We're not telling other players not to show up or not to talk or to throw rookie showcases, and then we got these other GMs who have done that, and who have been caught by it, and they get, you know what I mean? And it's frustrating for us to see that being allowed to go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then they turn around. These other guys of GMs in the past have turned around and said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm done trying to play by the rules. I'm done trying to, I'm tired of always losing or not having a stacked team. So I'm going to try and do it too.
So yeah, they're really just undermining their own desires at that point.
Right.
Well, I know, and that's it.
Hey, we'll go back to availability a little bit. What's the feeling, and maybe Reep, you could tell me a little bit more, or Pliskin, because I really don't have a lot of connection with Detroit yet, and we haven't really had a problem getting guys to show up. But has there been an issue with getting people to ECU so far this season, and are we at a level of ECUs that we want to be at, or do we feel like we could use more signups?
For our team, no, we were good. We had an ECU one day, I believe. I think the first night we had to grab balls deep. But then we signed him right away, within the next day or so. But we did pick him up. And that's another thing, too. If you're needing backups all the time, if you keep going to that well, you should be signing these players. No ECU should be abused. Like, you know what I mean? If you're going to use them, you're going to need them again. Make good on their efforts. You got to reward them for showing up. And if you reward them, if you start rewarding, they're going to show up more often.
And what's the again? I'm not clear on this rule. What is the limit for players on a roster?
There's no official limit, but I don't think mathematically you can go over 15.
Okay. I mean, if you can sign a couple more players, guys who want to play, and you're having availability issues, yeah, absolutely. I don't see why you wouldn't do that to begin with.
I mean, everyone's they're all in that bubble of, well, if I grab one ECU, that means I got to play him 3 games. If I sign him and blah, 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 I can't play my best line, blah, 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 blah. Well, if best line's not playing anyways, so get him.
Let's talk a little bit more about about specific teams. We've already talked a little bit about Dallas and about their issues right off the hand. On the opposite end of this, we've got Calgary off to a good start, and we're going to look at the top 8 teams that are in the standings so far. You see Calgary 8 wins and overtime loss. They've got 36 goals for, 15 goals against. Guys like Pooler, 9 goals, 7 assists in 3 games. Aegis, 6 goals, 12 assists. Tyler Seguin, who I find interesting, right? He's 2-0 in net, 15 out of 16 in saves. As a forward, 8 goals, 8 assists in 4 games. So if those numbers are correct, he's a pretty flexible player. Calgary obviously playing very well. We play them this week, and they certainly have a lot of talent on their team. But let me ask you this question: flexibility in the roster that you have, guys being able to play other positions. I obviously, when you have a short roster, that's important. But if you had to put a level of importance on it from 1 to 10, Reap, how important is it to you to have guys on your roster who could play multiple positions?
Out of 10, I would say 9. I love having guys that can play different positions, because if anything ever happens where a certain player can't make it, that position can be covered by whoever the next person in line. If you ask them, hey man, can you think you can drop down to D? Yeah, no problem, I got it. So I like it. Sometimes it's also good to have that one main guy that can just, all he does is play like a center or a right wing, because that's all he focuses on. But I think 9 out of 10, I think it's really important for me anyways as a GM. I like having versatile on my team. I like people being able to play different positions or can actually play a decent position if ever I need them to. So that way I'm not running around wondering who I'm going to get, or trying to find an ECU, or worrying about a forfeit because this guy can't show up, but then this guy can't play this position, and it throws the whole line off. So I like people that can play different positions. That's me as a GM personally, anyways.
Meanwhile, we've got a couple of other teams who, as you see, the Devils at 7-1-1, the Rangers at 7-2. The Rangers in third place, 44 goals for, which is first in the league, 22 goals against, which is third. The Devils are in second place. They're second in goals for at 43. So those two teams, Rangers and Devils, topping the league and putting pucks in the back of the net and not playing bad defense. And you see penalty kill for the Devils and for the Rangers pretty good at this point. These teams, not a surprise at this point. We talked about them in the last show leading into the season. We looked at their rosters. We saw certainly a lot of good build on both squads, and I'm sure Dietrich wishes he could be here to talk up his team. But truth of the matter is, we played them this week. They've got a lot of solid talent on that squad. And, again, you don't need a lot of superstars. You need a lot of good players who show up, who can get good chemistry going, and who can, who can play well together with any combination. And I think that's kind of what they have with this squad. Death Clown at this point, 15 goals, 11 assists in 6 games. Hypey, 10 and 12. Playing incredibly well. Dietrich himself at 7 goals, 11 assists in the 6 games that he's played. So they're getting good, consistent play. They've used 7 different forwards this week, and 5 different defensemen. So, they're using their roster. They're playing these guys, and they're getting them ice time. And I think that has to really add to the chemistry that they probably already had. But then you play a lot of these games night after night. You play 3 games in a row. And when you have success, I think a lot of it's because you're building that chemistry. And this team, this Devils team, I think had it to begin with, but now they're building on it.
Have you guys noticed the meta for this season, the gameplay style?
Not really. The one thing I've noticed that I was kind of impressed with is I'm seeing a lot of good passing. I'm seeing the puck move around a lot.
Yeah.
A lot more than I've seen in other leagues, quite honestly.
That's what I'm getting at. Like the meta of this season seems to be that that reverse one-timer,
Right.
where they'll skate one direction and almost pass behind them towards across ice.
It's one of the things we always do.
It's so popular all of a sudden. It keeps catching me off guard, but it's like you just always see it developing. You see them skating and positioning to set it up. It's like it's insane how often it's being used right now.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that a good? That's so much the way this game is played. We saw a lot of the off the face-off. If their face-off is to the right of the goaltender, getting it to the right winger for the one-timer, right? There's all these different things. We saw a little bit in the last season, last few months of a couple of different leagues, and even some drop-ins, seeing guys back into the crease. There's all these different things that guys are trying, and it's what's the new and latest. What I like about what you're saying is at least they're moving the puck. They're getting it to somebody else.
Yes, it's looking clean. They're keeping the puck moving. They're skating with it. None of these dangles and one-man shows. It seems like a very well-organized team effort.
And getting the defenders involved. I mean, again, Reap, I don't know what you guys work on specifically on your team, but I'm noticing a lot of use of the defenseman, if nothing else, just to get the defense spread out. The more you move the puck around within the blue line, within the zone, if you keep it down to the lower half, it's real easy to defend. You just have to just keep low, let the defenseman get the puck and maybe throw a shot on net. But if they keep moving the puck around and getting everybody involved, it's a big part of the game. And I think I've seen a lot of teams do that so far, even in just week one.
Yeah, no, for sure. You just dangle the puck and hope for a trip. But we've been doing that a lot too. We've always been like that though, moving the puck around and trying to get something going and look for rebounds and backdoor one-timers, or between the legs backdoor one-timers. We're always looking for that kind of stuff. If it's there, and we'll take it, type thing.
Yeah.
We mentioned the Rangers and the Devils. Just to round out the rest of the standings, you see Toronto has done pretty well so far, 6-1-1 at 13 points in fourth place, and Tampa Bay is a team that I pointed out that I liked their roster and what they had done so far. They are 6-3, tied for fifth with Colorado, 39 goals for, third best in the league. They're 5 of 24 on the power play. That's the second most power play opportunities. So if there is something that they should that they might want to concentrate on, is finishing those power plays. When you get that many chances in 9 games, you need to connect on a few more of those. 20%, almost 21%, not bad, but when you've had the most opportunities on the power play, you need to take advantage of that more. Other than that, though, I think Tampa Bay has done pretty well so far this season, and they have, they've gotten a lot of good play from multiple players. True legend at 11 goals, 16 assists. Rolling up Daly, 8 and 12. Red flag at 14 goals, leading the team in goals. Yeep, and I talked to Yeep yesterday. He played us in the late game on Friday, and 2 goals, 5 assists. Very solid play. He missed his first 2 games that night because his dad got pulled over for speeding. So I thought that was incredibly funny. But he's a guy who got only one chance to play this week and made the most of it. If he gets more chances to play, I'm telling you, this kid is really good. I've been a real proponent of him. He's had some issues in another league, but he's a good kid and he's a damn good player. And talk about getting everybody involved. If he doesn't have a shot when he gets the puck, he gets it right back to the point. He gets it back across the other side of the ice. He keeps the puck moving. I think they just have a lot of good talent on this team. And, in the 4 games that Rancher played, goes undefeated, stops 37 of 44 shots. So, you still got that great goaltending, but you've got a lot of good potential on this team. And I think Tampa Bay at 6-3, tied for fifth, and right there with Colorado, playing some really good hockey so far.
Yeah, they were the first team to really take it to us. I think it was night one. They kind of opened our eyes. They were the first ones to start that we noticed the reverse one-timers with. And it seems
Right.
like after every game. But no, heavily talented team. Heavily.
Yeah, Yeep was setting up on that right wing. I was keeping my eye on him the whole time because I stopped a few early, but then he got me for a couple, and but the way that the rest of his teammates were passing that game, just a solid performance by them that night against us, and they're just a good team overall, and again, the top half of this league, Arizona at 5-4. We mentioned Colorado at 6-3, and the Wings were 4-5. We've had a couple of games that were not good, but we had some good games that really showed some potential. So it'll be very interesting to see where that goes. We look at the bottom half, and you see Pittsburgh, then Vegas, and Ottawa at 4-5, and Kaz not here to talk to us today about that, but Ottawa having some early struggles. 26 goals for, which is tied for ninth, middle of the pack. They've given up the fifth most goals against at 35. And so Ottawa, who we thought, again, it's only week one, but felt like this team had so much talent that they should come out of the box fairly well. I would have thought at least 6-3. They've struggled a little bit, and we played them. They've got plenty of talent, and they can score. I just think maybe their defense is a little bit lacking so far.
Yeah, it could be. Haven't the opportunity to play them yet. I see a lot of comments in the chat where he's getting teased. So who knows? It'd be nice to talk to him when he gets here.
We've played them and we had nothing but connection issues. So,
hey, you talk about that, and Cosmo brought that up. Let me just bounce over to that right now, and that's the idea that there have been some connection issues so far with EA, and so it's funny because when Cosmo said it to me, I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" Because I really, we really didn't have an issue this week, but it seemed like it was pretty spotty. You want to talk about what you wound up going against Reap?
Well, Toronto, our first game of the season, our goalie was having over 500 ping, and he was all over the place. And then with his connection, it was affecting our connection. We couldn't pick up the puck. We kept skating over the puck. It was really bad. There's been a couple of games like that. For the most part, it's been all right, but there has been connection issues. And then against Ottawa, Too Slick kept lagging out. We had to keep restarting, going back, and he'd lag out within, the first game when we played them, he lagged out just under the 10-minute mark. Backed out, got him. He took the penalty, came out of the box. He skated for probably, maybe 2 or 3 plays worth, and then he lagged out again. We just decided screw it, and we just kept playing. But there's been a couple teams where the connection hasn't been good, where we've lost people. I don't know, even against Plisk, when we played Vegas it was Tuesday. We were down to the 15-minute mark in the first period. There was 15 minutes left, and all of a sudden it reset us right back at face-off with 20 minutes on the clock. And we ended up losing way to goal because of it, because it just resetted everything, and he got thrown out. So we had to back out after that period, pick him up, take the penalty, and I don't know if he lagged out again, but I'm not sure.
Your other D did, I think it was.
Yeah, our other D, he lagged out. He said, I don't know, and it's weird because they know when it's going to happen. The guys in my team are going, uh-oh, I'm about to lag out. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, I can feel it. And then the way my guy is moving around, I'm like, great, don't forget your pitcher. Like, yeah, we got you. I said, okay. But like I said, there's been a few games, the Vegas, the Ottawa, and the Toronto. We had connection issues. But other than that, it's been, here and there. It's either a really good skating play or it's really cement skating almost, where your guy just feels slow. But then there's other games where your guy's flying.
And you're not finding any commonalities with players being in the games, are you?
No.
Okay. All right. It's interesting. I really haven't heard much of it, but it does still seem to be spotty with EA. And I right now at this point, a couple of months away from another release, I'm not sure how much time they're going to put into any of this. I think they're kind of past it at this point, but we'll see how if they do anything to improve this over time. I just want to talk about before we get over. We're going to get over to a Ask the Commish segment here in a second. Yeah, we got some. There's some matchups coming up that I wanted to talk about, and just coming up in week 2. We've got several games that I think are kind of interesting coming up on Monday. Jersey and the Rangers, and Colorado at Toronto. We talked about the Devils and the Rangers and how well they're playing, but right away on Monday, ready to just see those two teams play. And hopefully somebody streaming, if you are, put that in the Discord chat, because I'm sure a lot of guys would like to see that and see how this matchup goes. But Colorado and Toronto, again, two other good teams who've played well. Those are 9 o'clock games. 9:45. There's Calgary and the Rangers, Anaheim and Tampa Bay, and then at 10:30 Tampa Bay plays New Jersey. So quite a few good games on Monday that are coming up. And then I think I really think it's Friday. We've got games with Toronto and Tampa Bay at 9:45, and then 10:30 New Jersey, Calgary, Rangers, Toronto, Tampa Bay, and Ottawa. So quite a few good games. I think the Ranger and Devil matchup is, it's fun to get these kinds of matchups early in the season, guys, because it gives these guys a chance to test each other right away. When you have success and you haven't played everybody, having a chance to play against a team that is doing just as well as you are really can kind of help you gauge where you are. I think those are the games that I kind of think are interesting coming up. I don't know if you guys took a look at the upcoming schedule, if you saw any games that you thought were interesting in this coming week. But those are the ones that I think I would look at myself.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with you. I'm interested to see the Calgary Rangers game.
Yeah, I wonder if you guys playing that game, a good option is just if you double tap your share button, you can start recording your games and then cut them up and edit them any way you want afterward, and we can upload those onto the site. We have the section already there for videos and stuff. So yeah, make good use of that. We'd love to get more content, especially for those big games.
Would love to get some of these guys post their links right in the Discord as well. It might be good to maybe even put that as a separate little group where people can go find links for players and teams. It might be interesting to do something like that as well. Let's I tell you what. Let's get to the segment of Ask the Commish, and repeat. You have the questions. I think let's let you ask them away.
I do. Now, some of them I'm not even going to ask. I ain't going to lie. But one of the questions is from, I think it's from MG. He wants to know if you would allow re-signs, people to re-sign up come the summertime for like an ECU type thing.
I don't think
so basically, was it MG?
No.
Oh no, it was Kudlak.
Yeah.
Kudlak asked that. He said, in order to avoid forfeit during the summer months, would you allow the league for former players who aren't registered for a season to play as an ECU in order to avoid a team's forfeit? And that was from Kudlak.
Would I allow late signups as ECUs? It's not outside my wheelhouse. It is definitely not a first option. It was not be the first time we've done that. So yes, there is possibility if we end up running out of free agents, running out of ECUs, like the ones that are already on that list, if they're not reliable enough. Yeah, for sure. If we're desperate enough, we can go to that well. But as a first effort, no, definitely not.
Okay. The other one is from Thomalong. He wants, well, I think we covered it already, but can I get my 3 games per week upgraded?
Yes, get
I think
released.
we covered that earlier in the show.
Get released from your team. Message me while you're a free agent. I will update it, and then the next team who picks you up will have that new updated availability.
Okay. Another question for you is who you think will win the Vezina this season?
Way too hard to tell. Too early. But I'm going with. I have confidence in Rancher right now.
So
Okay.
far, I think I might agree with that. I mean, we've got some good play by a few goaltenders, but I like Rancher's play at this point.
Okay, and a couple more questions to go. You think of expanding to a full NHL-sized league?
If we get that number of players, yeah, for sure. I'm not stopping at 16 because I like 16. So if we get enough players to field 32 teams, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now another one is, what's your favorite part about running this league?
This is gonna sound real cheesy, but you guys. I know it's pretty. Not you in particular. Everybody but you. No, just kidding. No, but seriously, it's everybody. They make it worthwhile.
Okay, so now I got some deeper questions on here. This one, it's from a rando. So why is there? Now this is just, I guess, is how he feels, and he just wants, I guess, an answer from it. He's like, why is there? It's just from there's nobody.
Anonymous.
Yeah, it's one of them questions. So why is there so much bias in the league? Certain players get reprimanded while others that are close to administration get a pass. What you guys going to do to fix it?
Like I stated in the Discord, I'm not entirely sure what he's meaning. I haven't noticed any real examples of that, so I asked him to name a few, and he responded to me by saying he's not a rat. So unfortunately, without more information, I can't answer that question honestly.
Okay. And then the other one from another one of those is, I know as a fact there are players with secondary accounts in this league. Something needs to be done about this.
It can be very easily. What you do is tell me all you know about those matter of facts with everything you got on them, and then we can go from there. If you're holding on to information and you don't want these people in the league, the reason they're in the league is because of you.
Exactly. And then I'll ask you one stupid question that is that do you ever think there will be a time where robots and humans can peacefully coexist?
Yes, right now.
Well,
now, humans and robots get along perfectly fine.
I'm not convinced that
Kaz
isn't already a robot.
He might be, actually. Some of his responses seem to be automated. You know when you type into Google and it gives you back the wrong thing?
Yeah.
It just says close to what you're talking about, but it goes off on a different tangent. That's kind of how Kaz works.
Yeah, I think he might have been a Microsoft project that just got tossed out the door. And no one thought it would actually work, and then it somehow came to life. I think that's Cosmo.
Yeah. Go ahead, ask the last one. I know you don't want to, but ask it anyways.
Okay.
It's from MG. I'm sure MG wants to hear it.
Oh, probably. Why am I attracted to Tread? He looks like a silverback ape.
Well, that's simple enough. When a boy hits a certain age, he starts to know strange things about himself. Mm-hmm. Starts to feel odd things that he wasn't used to feeling before. One of those things he starts to notice, or he starts to do, is create pheromones, and that is what attracts us to our partners. You know, you start subconsciously smelling the pheromones, and it starts leading you in a certain direction, and that's how you find your mate. But it's either that or he's into bestiality. One of the two. I'm not sure yet.
I feel like
and then there was one just added in as well, I guess, from earlier that I didn't see. Is
okay.
Why is the sky blue?
It's not. It's gray. It shows blue because of the reflecting light.
Reflecting light.
Wow. I didn't.
Thanks for those.
Hey,
it's good. Good thing I knew that before they asked. How long ago they asked that one? I didn't have time to research that.
I don't know. I guess when I pulled it up, it was there. So, but that is true. It's reflecting light. But yeah.
Wow, it's like having our own chemistry professor here. Hey, there was one more question by King Shadow in the Twitch box. Ever thought of doing the summer for the summer season, doing a World Cup type season since we are a small league instead of running a normal season?
No, we actually, one of the topics we'll probably discuss next week, but I'm thinking about during our off season between 18 and 19 NHL, running a 1 or 2 week international tournament. So yeah, we will do something, but it's not going to replace a season.
Okay, well, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, just to kill off the monotony of waiting, because we're going to be off at least a month or so before the next game comes out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I've seen that done elsewhere, and I think the idea of doing a little mini tournament. One of the things that because you meet so many different people from different parts of America and Canada, to try and get even like a regional tournament set up, like East Coast, West Coast, in East West Canada, get like 4 teams together and try and have a little mini tournament doing that. So there are different things like that.
Yeah, about 12 seasons ago, we used to do U.S. versus Canada best of 7 Super Series. So that was always fun, and it got some heated rivalry going. So we'll definitely go back into something like that.
Now, I got a question. If you do it that way, Canada versus U.S., is it going to be strictly Canadian SP players against strictly American SP players?
Yeah. Your nationality
I like that.
versus the other nationality, yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting. I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah, and then if you make the roster bigger and then put like a minimum amount of games everybody has to play, you can get a bunch of guys involved that way.
Yeah, we had Canada versus U.S. and then anybody in the European countries or outside of Canada, U.S. they got to pick their team basically, and we'd randomize it.
Hyper is also asking any All-Star games. Is that something you guys have done before?
Yeah,
yes, we had
before.
All-Stars for we're in season 29. We did it for about 20, 21, 22 seasons. We stopped doing it when it stopped becoming when people stopped taking it seriously.
Yeah.
We would have we would announce the rosters, and people would bitch and whine that they didn't get selected or whatever. And then the guys who did get selected wouldn't even show up anyways. So then
because they felt bad for other guys and they didn't want to be the bad guy.
They just didn't want to. They didn't care. It's an exhibition game. They didn't care.
Yeah.
So they stopped showing up. We ended up filling all the roles with like 3rd, 4th string guys anyway. So it became a farce. We just got rid of it.
Yeah.
There are a couple of other things I think you brought up, Reep, and that was a couple of other items that you wanted to talk about a little bit about jersey selection and about people not using their PSN names on the Discord, which I agree wholeheartedly with you on that one. It's kind of hard to tell who is who if you're using a totally different name in Discord, and it's a minor issue, but it kind of bothers me that that might be the case. I think if you don't want to change the name of what you have there already, I get it, but then make something else for SP that goes along with the name you're using here. I think it's too much confusion if somebody can get in there without using their name in the league.
I mean, all you got to do is tell us what your PSN is. We can change your nickname on our server only. If you go to another server, your name stays the same. But as long as you're on our server, we can change it to anything you want it to be.
All right.
So yeah, just tell us what your PSNs are. We will edit them for you.
And Reep, what about the jerseys? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say what the whole Discord thing is. I've gotten a lot of people asking me about that. And I mean, you're in the league, you're playing in the league. It's a league Discord. I don't see why you don't have your PSN name as your name while you're talking in the SP chat site. You know what I mean? It makes it easier for other people to know who's who instead of, because I've gotten lots of people message me going, do you know who the hell this guy is? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, maybe ask Cause. He's he might be able to find out. Oh, okay, cool, thanks. You know what I mean? I just think that should be done. But the whole jersey selection, I mean, it's a league. A lot of, you'll get a lot of these guys who think SP is a joke or this league is whatever. It's just a filler. Well, you know what? It's still a league. You should still be, if you're Jersey Devils, you should be the Jersey Devils. If you're the Jets, you should be the Jets. If you're Vegas, you should be Vegas. You shouldn't be switching teams. You know what I mean? That I think that's the way it should be. But
my take on that is no, you shouldn't be running with a different jersey constantly. I don't think it, honestly, to me, it doesn't bother me at all if they accidentally forget once or twice. You know what I mean? It doesn't even move the needle. I don't think it happens often enough that it warrants really any major changes to anything. Do you feel like it's happening often enough that you know what I mean? Like, it feels like it's like a nitpick at this point.
No, but no, I don't think it's a nitpick. If you're playing in the league and you're a certain team, you should be that team.
I agree.
That's just, you know, that's in any league. You know,
I agree.
VG, LG, whatever the fucking other leagues there are. If that's your team, that's the team you should be representing. Not you know, like we had that issue when we played Arizona, they became the Blackhawks, and it's like, dude, like, you know, I'm just letting people know, for if you're playing my team and you switch your team and you're not the team that we're supposed to be playing against, guess what? I'm backing out.
See, that's what I'm getting at. Why? Why? I mean, it happens. If it's going to be a permanent thing, then yeah, make us think about it. If they're doing that every game, if like every game they're Arizona, you know, make it think about it. If they forget one time, don't back. Why would you back out? You're just delaying a lot of shit for cosmetic purpose.
Okay, but then what happens if, let's say, they do that and there's a leg out and a GM forgets to take picks? Let's just say, for instance, there's new GMs in the league that sometimes they forget things. And let's say it was a big leg out. They got all clusterfuck. They thought somebody else was going to say to take pitch, so they backed out. Everybody backed out. But then all of a sudden, let's say that team's up 2-0, and the other team comes back. Well, you haven't played us yet. Well, you don't have the pitchers. Well, I have pitchers, but it's not even our team. You know what I mean? There's different loopholes like that, saying, "Well, I didn't play you guys. You guys played this team. We're Calgary, so I don't know why you have." It was the same ordeal with the whole 2-6 situation when we were playing Ottawa. When 2-6, the whole situation. I said to him, I said, "Listen," I said, you know, Cosmo's like, "Do you need a pick?" I said, "Yeah, I'd like to have a pick." He's like, "Okay, he'll send it to you." He sends me the pick. He's like, "Yeah, sorry, man, I legged out. Here's my Lego pick." Well, the pick was, number one, said the goalie legged out due to connection when the goalie was still in it. And in the background, it had Jets versus Vegas.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
It's like, come on,
in
man.
that case, yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that situation. It just seems,
you know, it's just, I don't know. I just think me personally, I signed up to play in a league. I have a team. Even if I wasn't on that team, if I was a player to a team, if that's the team I'm on, that's the team that we should be playing as. That's just my take on it. I don't know if everybody else feels about that, but that's just how I look at it.
It's valid thought for sure. I'm just wondering at what level, how much calories do we put towards this?
I don't know. I just think if it's a league, it should be a rule. It should be enforced.
Right, but there's distractions. Some guys don't even realize they're the captain until someone's like, "Hey, dude, change of jersey." Like, who? Me? Oh shit! Like, it happens.
Right.
Happens here and there. You know, it's not a plague, but it happens. I'm just wondering if it's really necessary to A, punish them, or B, restart the entire game. I can see your point where, yeah, if they're malicious enough to try to attempt something stupid like that, but I mean, you have some safety in the fact that I'm not in. Maybe people disagree, but I'm not that stupid. If someone comes to me like, "Oh, that wasn't us. We were in that game," I'll be like, "All right, so you know, I'll get to the bottom of it." There's certain people that are more trustworthy than others for sure, but
no, and I get what you're saying. I just don't see a point in switching teams. Like, if it's accidental, it's accidental. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But switching teams, I don't. There
shouldn't be
no reason for it.
No, there's no reason for that.
Yeah, I think I would want to believe, Reap, that guys just do what they're supposed to do, but you know,
but
shit's gonna happen, right? I mean, it is.
Yeah,
what it is.
if you are like, if you get into a lobby and Colorado jersey's default and it doesn't switch to whatever their team is, I don't think that's a big deal. If they're, you know, Toronto and they switch it to Colorado, that's a problem.
Right.
Hey, couple of things to clear up, or not clear up, just to mention. Like we talked about it earlier, we'd love to see more people stream games. We'd love to know that you stream the games as well. So, I think we as a media group need to discuss that and figure out what exactly we want to do to try and make it easy for you guys to let us know that you've streamed games. And we'll talk more about that. But for the time being, put it in Discord. Send it to myself, tsibs88. on the Discord chat and let me know that you're streaming games. This way we can go and look at you guys play. We can talk more in depth about what you guys have been able to do. We'd like to be able to do that moving forward. So let us know if you're streaming, and try and get somebody in your team for every game to stream games. And the other thing is that I know last I spoke to Hyper, he was talking about trying to get a collection of highlights together for maybe a weekly, maybe a bi-weekly reel of highlights. So let's try and get that accomplished too. If you got things that you want to share with the community, highlights of games, let's get that to Hyper. Get that to him on Discord. Give him a link. Give him a clip from Twitch. Give him a link for that. And I think you said something earlier, Plisk, about being able to do that within the site too. Is that the case?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got there's a spot on the site under videos, under the header videos. There's game highlights, condensed games, plays of the week, and blooper reels. If you got any of those things, send me a clip and I'll upload it for you. Send them to Sibs or whoever, and we'll get that on the show. I guess this is your your stage as much as it is ours. So bring us your gold. We want to get some content.
All right, guys. Any final thoughts heading into week number 2? Again, it can take several games. I kind of feel like it takes, maybe a quarterly update to kind of figure out where you are with your team, and we're 9 games in. How much more, Reap, do you expect to figure out about your team after week 2?
Not much, to be honest with you. This week I've seen, what I needed to see for the most part. I mean, other than the laggy games that we had, but this week will determine what moves, if any, if I need to make. And like I said, it's just about chemistry, man. Like once that chem starts going, it'll be fine. I think sometimes some teams get it right away. Other teams takes a few. It takes, a week or two to finally get rolling.
There's always that one guy. Yeah.
Yeah, like it happened to us last year when we were in Anaheim. We had a horrible season. Just nothing was clicking. But then right near the end, we started, just everything finally started to click, but it was too little too late.
Yeah.
So like I said, I mean, I got faith in my team. We got good, good, well-rounded guys on the team. So I think after this week, I think once our chem start, because it started to build in certain games, so it's only a matter of time.
And we'll also try and work on getting some GMs on, maybe some players as well along the way. So we'll work on that a little bit more when I have a little more time and don't feel like total crap on the weekend. So listen, plus Reap, thanks. I appreciate you guys helping me out tonight. Good job again.
For sure.
And for Pliskin and Reap and Cosmo couldn't make it tonight, and Dietrich, who is on vacation, if we happen to get an address of his cottage, we'll send it to you so you can directly contact him. But he'll be back next week as well. So until then, for Pliskin and Reap, this is T-Sip saying so long, and thanks for joining us today on Off the Ice right here on the SPNHL media channel on Twitch. Have a good night.